Hey, Gretchen, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me today.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you too so very much for being here. You say, I truly appreciate it. And you say, Gretchen, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become an anthem. So, firstly, Gretchen, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Gretchen, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Gretchen, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, but ripe mangoes. It was a special moment that day. I was so excited. Here's my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Gretchen that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your insights, your philosophies, the impact your work is having. It's amazing. And I just before you got the request from me, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Gretchen is doing. Not only me now, but even the audience. And here we had it there with the amazing Gretchen. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am fortunate, very fortunate.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Gretchen, for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, Gretchen, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the audience. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Gretchen on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Gretchen, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Gretchen, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey, because right now we are just so curious. We want to know how Gretchen got here. Then afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Gretchen, over
Beautiful.
to you.
Thank you so much. So my story starts from a very dark place. On Christmas Day 2022, I attempted suicide. Um, I had remembered that a month before that, I had read an article about the 988 crisis hotline here in the US. And on that day, I was completely defeated. But there was also a glimmer of hope that things were going to get better. So between the glitter of hope and the most compassionate person I've ever spoken to in my entire life on the other end of the phone line when I called 988, I'm alive today. Am I mad that it happened? No, because I wouldn't be where I am today without all the bad stuff that happened. There was a lot that happened the last quarter of 2022. So the day after I made my call to 988, I started to share my journey on social media. I am a 100% extroverted, and I'm also an empath. So two things that didn't work for me so well because I was taking care of everybody else, but not taking care of me. I wanted my friends to know what was going on because nobody knew how depressed I was. Not one single person, not my wife, not my coworkers, not my friends, not my family. And so I opened up about what was going on with me, letting them know how depressed I was, and that, yes, I had tried to attempt suicide, and that, I had already started getting into therapy. I scheduled a therapy appointment the very same day. I had about 200 people reach out to me and thank me because now they didn't feel so terrified and alone in their own journey. And it made me realize that the more we share our stories, the more doors we open from other people's prisons. And then I had my co-host who is on, she's a co-host with me on our podcast Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. And my co-host, and she was my manager, but we use that term super loosely because I retired 4 months after she became my manager, but we've been friends for 7 years. We would call each other every day and we would just laugh about stuff you probably shouldn't laugh about, but it made me feel better. So my two healers were sharing my journey and also laughing about stuff you shouldn't laugh about. Because here's what happens when you laugh. You start the day with that type of intention. It releases the cortisol in your belly. It increases your endorphins, and it just really sets the trajectory for the day. So we didn't think anybody was going to listen to us. We were we're going to do 3 episodes and be done. Fast forward to September of 2024, we won 2 awards for our podcast for mental health. And then in December, we amassed over 1 million downloads. So our message must be resonating with people. So it got us both a little nervous. But also in November of last year, I found myself getting really depressed again. But this time, I didn't hide it. Everybody knew where I stood. And I will tell you that it felt like I had lifted one of those heavy x-ray blankets off my shoulder. Because now I'm not hiding behind the mask of being an extrovert. I let everybody know that I wasn't happy and that I was spiraling downward. At the end of December, I was talking to my wife, and she knew how unhappy I was with my job, and she gave me permission to quit my job. So on January 2nd of this year, I put my 2 weeks notice in, and I opened up my own business at 61. And I want people to see me as a story of hope. And I will tell you that over the last 2 years, I put a lot of work into myself. A lot like the mango tree, how I saw myself as broken and ugly and everything else. But today I see myself as somebody who is brave and courageous and stepped outside of my comfort zone to find my happy. I'm also writing a book. I was almost done, and then I decided to quit my job, and but now I want that part of my story in my book, and the book really talks about being an extrovert, being an empath, and things to look out for in your extroverted friends. Because I'm not sure if your audience knows this, but we mask our depression very well. It's not a badge of honor, and I'm not very proud of it. But it's something that we do, and it's just a tendency. And based off of everything that I've gone through, I'm the happiest I've been in 20 years. I found my purpose, I found my mission, and I'm out there changing the world every day. Our podcast is about normalizing how we talk about mental health, and we're 113 episodes in, getting ready to start season 11 in 2 weeks. And I'm just fortunate to be able to come on and talk to your audience and to you about my experience because it was terrifying for me.
You're a survivor, Gretchen. And I found your story very, very inspiring. I tell you. And the fact that you are sharing your experience, you're sharing your story with the world, that's a lot of impact coming from there. Because folks will listen to your story and get inspired and have this cloud of hope around them. I love what you're doing. It's amazing. So I've
Thank
got
you.
some questions, you see.
Okay.
Yeah. So How can someone start over later in life and still succeed?
I think the first thing you have to figure out is like, what are you passionate at? What really like makes you get up in the morning and like want to change the world? I started it by making a list of like the things that made me happy and the things that didn't make me happy and the things that I'm good at. And I spent 45 years in corporate America, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to work for anybody ever again. And I did, you have to do a little market research out there to, make sure that what you want to do is there's like a market for it. But believe in yourself. And that's probably the hardest thing, is believing in yourself. But you also have to like be okay with getting out of your comfort zone. So, I mean, like for me, I've worked for somebody else my entire life. Now I'm working for me. So I had to find that comfort zone to step out and just do it on my own. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of scary, but kind of fun at the same time.
I got that. Believe in yourself, step out of your comfort zone, find for what you're so passionate about. I got that. I got that. So, I'm still a bit curious about your suicide attempt. Can you share your story, as a suicide attempt survivor? Can you give us some more in-depth stuff on that?
Yeah, I can. It all started in like September of 2022. I got a note from work saying that I was eligible for early retirement. In most cases, that would be a really good thing, but you have to remember I was 59 and a half at the time, and that there's still ageism in the workforce. So, I was excited, but also super nervous at the same time. And then in October, my wife got shingles. If you've ever met anybody that has gotten shingles before, there's absolutely nothing you can do to make them feel better. It was super scary and super hard for me because I couldn't make her feel better. But at the same time, being an empath, I was taking in all her pain and just trying to make her feel like she was okay when there was really nothing I could do. And then during that whole month, I hit and killed a deer on accident. That was horrifying for me. I got catfished. The FBI got involved. And then a really good friend of ours passed away in the beginning of November, totally unexpected. Then my father-in-law passed away 2 days before Thanksgiving. And then throw in some seasonal depression and some holiday depression, and it was a lot. And being, 59 and a half, I'd been taught my entire life that you don't talk about your mental health, right? You put on a strong face and you shove it down until there's no place else for it to go. Well, come Christmas Day, I just wanted to go for a drive, right? Like, it was super cold here. It was like minus 22. I just wanted to get out of my head. And sometimes for me to get out of my head is just getting in a car, driving, and turning the music up as loud as I can get it, without going deaf. I go to start my car, the car won't start because it's so cold outside. Completely defeated by that time. I came back in the house. I went up to my bedroom, and I had a bottle of pills that I could have taken. But while I'm sitting up there in my room, I'm thinking about everybody that would miss me and how much it would hurt them if I wasn't here anymore. And so it was that, and it was that glimmer of hope. And then remembering that I had read about 988, and it was at that point that I called that number, because I kept hoping that things would get better than what they were. One of the number one things that my therapist taught me was setting boundaries. And as an empath, that is super important that you set those boundaries. And it's like putting up a shield. And once I started to put up that shield, I started to feel better. Because, that old adage of like you have to put on your oxygen mask before you put it on everybody else? Well, I didn't do that. Everybody else got an oxygen mask but me. Now tables have turned. Now I wear that oxygen mask like it's a lifesaver. I put my shields up when I need to, and I'm much happier. But like, they don't teach you that in school. right? Like, I don't remember learning anything about that in elementary or high school or college or even like work life. And so that's what led up to the suicide attempt. It was a lot. There's a couple of things. Number one, talk to people, right? No matter how hard it is, find that person. And if you don't have that person, call one of the crisis lines that are out there. They are free. It is anonymous. And if you're not sure of the crisis line to call, a very good friend of mine, Lisa Sugarman, created a webpage called thehelphub.co. On that page are every kind of crisis line you would ever need. But don't keep it bottled up. You have to remember you're not alone. There's somebody out there that will talk to you and help you and get you the resources you need. And whether you live in rural America or you live in the city and you just don't feel like talking to your friends or your family, pick up the phone and call one of the crisis lines. They will literally save your life. The second thing to remember too is, and this goes out to all your extroverted listeners out there. Listen, we're really good at masking our depression, like super good at it. Just don't, because when we do that, we don't give the people that surround us the ability to help us out and get us out of those really dark places. So try to find your voice, try to find your footing. And I can talk from experience, because that's what I did. I did not talk to anybody. Like, people would ask me how I was doing. I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm great. But they never asked me questions that I would really have to answer. So for your listeners, when you talk to your extroverted friends, ask them questions that are a little bit more probing, that they have to actually think about and answer. You could save their life. There's a video out there on YouTube from Simon Sinek, and it's called 8 Minutes. If you can give somebody 8 minutes, those are 8 minutes that you'll probably save somebody's life. I get it. We all get busy, but make it a habit to check in on your friends. The world's a really scary place right now, and people all need a little extra love. It's kind of funny. So we were coming back from New York City, and I forgot how long it takes to de-ice a plane. It actually takes about 2 hours. So I had my phone, and I had ChatGPT, and I had my resume. And so I fed my resume into ChatGPT, and I said, hey, design a consulting company based off of my work experience and then everything we've done with the podcast. And it came back with a consulting company of what I really wanted to do, and I got super excited about it. And what I started doing is writing out like pros and cons to working for myself. There was a whole lot more pros than there were cons. Like, the biggest con was, like, I don't have a health insurance right now because I can't justify the cost. But the other side of that is I'm so much happier, because now I get to really invest in those relationships, meet new customers, do things the way I want to do them, and be happy about it. And like, I show up to every call with a big smile on my face. And yeah, it's a challenge. I'm a few years away from retiring, but I have a ton of knowledge in business. I've been doing it forever, and I just want to give back, right? I think that people at our age, we should be mentoring down and, helping the younger generations, not make the same mistakes that we've made, or if they are making them, help them find a better path. One of those is like setting boundaries. Boundaries are huge. Like, if you haven't started setting them now, start setting them. And the ability the power to say no, right? Like, if it's not something that it fits with my business model, I get to say no. If it's somebody asking me if I can help with something and I just don't have the bandwidth, I can say no to that. And I know I have a lot to offer in the world, and I have been blessed with some amazing gifts and some amazing friends and my family. And you have to believe in yourself. And I'm going to go back to this. You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone. And that's exactly what I did. And I woke up this morning and I was very thankful for the people that have helped me to come out of my comfort zone and challenge me every day, because I think it makes me stronger. And it gives me a little bit of courage to really go out there and change the world. So there's two places you can find me. The first one is my company website, and it's schosersolutions.com. Or you can go to our podcast website, which is goesoninOurheads.net. I respond to any emails that come through any of those two platforms. I'm also on LinkedIn. And for the podcast, we are on Instagram. It's GREX_Dirty Skittles. And we'd love to hear from you.